here we are on another Monday night, and we are just ready to jump right in and tear the place apart. I think they call that a bull market. That would be us. Here we are with a few of our projects that are on the go, and we will talk about Sidi and Tupan tonight because there's some activity that we need to be aware of, and that is just going to make our lives a whole lot better. So here we are, 6th of March. I even remember to change the date. Every night on a Monday night when I click to that slide, I can never remember if I actually went and changed the date on it. Luckily, most of the time I do. Okay, everyone goes forward together. That's us. That's where we're at, and we are underway. Our opinion only. We are expressing our view as affiliates of a number of companies. We do not actually own those companies, and we don't have specific representation agreements with them, and we're not giving anybody financial advice. We are showing you what we found out. Okay. There has been a lot of hoopla in the last little while, and rightfully, about the fact that our hubs have not been delivered yet. So I know that they're working very hard to get that done, but they're now talking about catching up almost to the end of November 21. So that's only puts them about a year and a bit behind. However, in the meantime, to alleviate that, they have offered a trade-in option. So if you have physical hubs, you will be able to exchange them for a digital hub and a €700 voucher. Now, I know there's some people on this call tonight that have multiple physical hubs. I'm going to suggest you keep one physical and swap all the others into this, because you'll pick up €700 voucher for product sales. So you can potentially get a half Tupan minting node, a half Realist City, a half movie one, whatever you want. And the difference in price between the digital and physical was €500. So they're throwing in €200 just to make the deal a bit sweeter for us. And I really like it. I think it's certainly got some legs. We'll be doing that with one of ours, converting it over, because a €700 voucher in T-drones would be nice to add to things while it's still minting at a rate of knots. This is particularly good for people that have multiple hubs, because you'll be able to keep one as physical and swap all the others over to digital and pick up a €700 voucher. So it's a really, really good option. I was astounded when I saw it, because I was just about at the point of asking the head honchos over there where they were at with the hubs, because it's due for me to go around and do that again. And this came in the Telegram app yesterday, I think it was. So it's a really good option. Pay close attention to that. We're going to talk a little bit about Tupan now and go over some slides that I presented a couple of weeks ago. We are attempting to get Odely here to Australia in the near future, and we're attempting to get an opportunity to speak directly to him on a webinar next week. So it looks like that might happen, but we still have some dots to join and make sure that he's going to be where he can get to a computer, etc. So Tupan is all about the CO2 certificate market, and it's really a massive market opportunity if you can be part of it, because it's going to get bigger and bigger. And if you look at these stats, they think that it's going to be 2.4 trillion with a T by 2027. That's a combined annual growth rate of 30.7% from 2020 to 2027. That's astounding. They're massive numbers. But we happen to have a way to be part of that. So let's look at what arbitrage means. The simultaneous buying and selling of securities, currency, or commodities in different markets or in derivative forms in order to take advantage of differing prices for the same asset. That means you're buying it at price A and you're selling it at price B, and there's a margin between those two prices. That's what arbitrage means. And we have had that in a number of forms in wallets over the last couple of years, and they've always worked for a little while. And as soon as we try and ramp them up, because they're running off algorithms, somebody changes something in the algorithm and bingo, it no longer works anymore. What I like about this opportunity is it's two distinct, separate prices. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to work out that if you can buy it at 1 cent and sell it at 3 cents, that's a good deal. So what does the vending pool give us? Let's just go through this a little bit. It's a short-term benefit on the tokens. Now, they're talking about the vending pool closing end of April, and that means that the tokens that are in there will be the ones that are bought out at 3.69 cents. But it gives us a long-term benefit because it will positively impact the price of the Tupan tokens. And we've already seen it. It goes up and down, but when we do a presentation, when other people do a presentation about the vending pool, the price goes up. What a surprise. It's a world first for this type of business. Quite literally, this has never happened before in any type of cryptocurrency or public environment. If you're talking about the old days of shares where you subscribed, et cetera, nobody ever gave you a guaranteed floor price. And we have one now with Tupan, an absolute floor price. And that's where the vending pool fits into the Tupan cycle. And they're going to use the vending pool early on to facilitate the production of the carbon certificates. And that's new because when they first came out with this design model, there was no vending pool. So we've managed to get to become a part of this by just being around and being in the right place at the right time. So really like it. It seems like we're going to have access to it for a while anyway. You don't need to have a career level. You don't have to have a volume requirement, but you've got to be a member. So just make sure that, I've talked to a few people in the last couple of days that have said, oh, there'll be some requirement. Nope, there's no requirement. It's an open market. You can buy them at the moment, I think it's about 1.5, 1.6 cents, and you can put them into the vending pool at 3.69. That's a heck of a good deal. So the vending pool gives us the minimum floor price, and that will be in place as far as I can work out until they close the vending pool, which means you'll have, I'm going to pick a number and say 8 weeks to purchase coupons on the Bitmart platform and put them into the vending pool. And we're going to talk more about the vending pool, so don't get too panicked about how to do that. We're minting at 3.69 cents and buying at, today it was 1.59. That is a heck of a deal. That's what a floor price does. It gives us the ability to know what the outcome is going to be. So that in that environment there, like I said last week, I think it was 104% last week. That's probably about the same this week. So this is what the screenshot of the Nomo app looks like, the new one. And you can see on the top right-hand side there is the swap button. So that's where you'll send tokens if you've got Those Zeniq tokens there that I decide to sell and make $1.90, I can go into the swap function and potentially swap them into Bitcoin or whatever other asset is in the swap function. If you have a look under the Avelock tab, you will see that there is a staking option for Avelock. Now, it doesn't really work for small numbers, like in that screenshot there's 400 Avelock tokens. It doesn't work out to stake them. They are looking for people with, I'm going to pick a number and say 10,000 Avelock tokens. I don't really know what the minimum is, but it's considerably more than is showing on the screen there. And the other issue with Avelock is that they're ERC20 tokens. They're on the ERC20 platform, which means every single time you want to move them, you have to have quite a chunk of Ethereum to move them. Martin's saying, with such low volumes today, I managed to be a market mover when I bought some today. Yes, good man. Jenny and Doug are saying 1.482 cents. It's astounding, isn't it? But you've got to understand that it's because people are not grasping what that token is yet, because it's not really public. Even though it's on a public site, you've got to search for it to find it. So what we're looking at is a market opportunity that we came upon really early in the piece. So a similar feature to staking will be built into the Nomo app. So let's have a look at that. This is the Tupan token on a Nomo app, and you can see that there's a space there. That's where I think they will add the vending pool. Now, don't hold me to it. I don't know that for a fact. It just makes sense to me that they're putting in buttons in these wallets to do things. Makes sense that that would be the vending pool instead of staking. They will already have the code for it because they built the staking system. So adding it to that is quite astounding. And it will work very easily when they get it up. What is the vending pool? It's simply another blockchain address to move your tokens into. So in theory, you could take all of your Tupan tokens and put them in the vending pool to sell them. You can. Nothing to stop you from doing that. Yes, Martin, we're going to talk about the iPhone app in a little bit. This means that the tokens you put in the vending pool, you are by default agreeing to sell them at 3.69 euro cents. So you can put any amount in there and make sure that you understand that once they're in there, you're going to get paid. Now, I don't know how they're going to do that yet because they haven't released the demo, but I believe they're going to swap it into Litecoin, Bitcoin, something like that, so that you can then move it into your wallet and turn it into cash if that's what you choose, as per the terms of the vending pool. Now, that looks like payments will go out of the vending pool in June. So you'll be in there in the vending pool for 4 months and you'll turn those coins into foldable cash. I do know numbers of people in Europe that are buying them at the discounted price now, as we are, but they're not going to put them in the vending pool because they think within the next year they're going to be $1, $1.50 per token. And boy, if you go from what did Jenny just say, 1.482, you're going to make sure that you get a sizable cash profit. And yes, Mr. Langford, I will talk about the toy phones in a little bit. Now, let's just step through the process. I haven't changed these numbers to make them live from today, but we did this just 2 weeks ago, I think. So you can see that in this screenshot, I've got no Tupan tokens in that wallet. So I started with $52 US in cryptocurrency. I purchased Tupan on the Bitmart platform, and then I transferred them into my Nomo wallet and came up with $92.90. That's not a bad return for, I think that took me a long time to work out how to do it. But once I did it, it took me less than a minute to do that. So it's a nice little earner. So this is a simple arbitrage opportunity that we can all take advantage of if you're so inclined. If you just want to buy them at the cheap price and hold them, nothing wrong with that plan either. If you want to just sell them in the platform and take the 3.69 cents because you've made a profit, not a bad idea. It's none of those options are bad options. The vending pool, remember, has a floor price. So it doesn't matter what happens to the public price on Bitmart, we're covered by the floor price. No more market price worries for our tokens because we are covered. We have a fantastic reward of having a floor price. And that's amazing. I've never seen that before in any other business. So here's the breakdown of what we know now. So on the 27th of February, they were 1.812 US cents. And you could put them in the vending pool at 3.69. That was 104% profit. That was a week ago. Now, I would find it very difficult to find someone that would complain about that. Okay, it's a 4-month turnaround, but it's 104% profit. And you can sell them on the open market. What a way to go. What more do you need to know? So if there is questions that you have about this, over the next few days, I expect to get a bullet point list of the how-to. I'm trying to get that as quickly as possible so that we can actually step through the process so you know all of the directions and all of the options that you've got. The price of the Tupan tokens in our world is linked to the carbon credit price that Tupan sells the carbon credits for on the open market. So that's why they can give us a floor price. They just built that floor price into the carbon credit model. So it doesn't matter what's happening outside of that system. Our floor price is 3.69. It's a good deal. It's not linked to the Bitmart price, as we just said, and you can do it right now. You can take advantage of it every day. I know Martin has bought a number of parcels, as have many of us. You may have to have a Tupan license to get this option, and even a €100 one, but the system is so far working really, really well. As far as I know at the moment, though, you don't need to even have a Tupan license to do this. You can buy them on the open market and dump them into the vending pool and take advantage of the margin. But once this starts cashing out, I expect this opportunity will completely disappear. But we'll see. I don't have any inside information on that. Mr. Langford, how do we know there will be people who want to buy them? In what way, Cassie? The vending pool is where all of the carbon credits will be sold out of. So anybody that buys carbon credits in the US will need to be accessing the vending pool for tokens. Malcolm is saying he's managed about 120% profit on what he's done so far. Do we need to connect our Nomo wallet to our Safir backend? I believe the short and simple answer to that would be yes, Mr. Martin. But don't do that yet with yours, because we're going to talk about that in a moment as well. So in March, which is right now, the vending pool is supposed to open in the next few days. April, they're going to close it at the end of the month. May, they start selling these certificates into the business market. And June is when they'll start delivering certificates and paying out on the tokens. And Martin is saying that so far 129 and 138% profit. Bit hard to complain about that, isn't it? Now, here's the bit we get to talk about from Martin and Malcolm. The iPhone app is now in the App Store. However, some of you have already downloaded it. Pay close attention. It's not fully fledged yet. On the current iOS version that's in the App Store, there's crypto wallets, but the function to connect to the Safir back office, I'm not sure if it's working, and there's no swap function or staking yet. That's because Apple didn't release the submitted last version, but a pre-release version for audit. Therefore, if you try and do something in the iPhone app, you will get error messages possibly. So just make sure you go about this a bit carefully. I rushed in and downloaded the app while I was at the function in Dubai, only to find out later that there were some fairly key how-to stages to go through that I hadn't followed. So just make sure you pay close attention. And yes, Martin, it is an oh dear. There will be an update in the next few days. So do the update before you start really trying to use it. But on top of all that, there is a desktop version coming. And that will be very cool because you'll be able to do it on the computer on a big screen. So you don't have fat finger syndrome that lots of us have, because we're in that vintage where we actually need to be able to see where we're putting our fingers, not go at 2,000 miles an hour and type on a miniature screen. So remember, if you've got an iPhone and you've already downloaded it, wait a bit before you use it until the next upgrade comes. What do I do with the old Zeniq app on my iPhone? When you implement the new Nomo app on your phone, use the same 12-word password or phrase, and it will migrate any asset you've got in the old app into the new one by default. So, although I don't know, what do I do with the old Zeniq app on Martin? Just unmute, mate, so I'm not quite sure I'm answering your question. I didn't know you had the old Zeniq app on your iPhone.
Yeah,
Yours were visible. Yep.
I got the old app. I installed it quite some time ago, probably 12 months or so ago, but it has nothing on it. So I didn't buy or swap or move any crypto at all. So it's got zero balance on everything.
Okay, so two options. One is just simply delete it and do a clean install of the new app, or you can use the 12-word phrase and migrate it. If you haven't linked it to your website, there's no need to even do that. You could just delete it and download the Nomo app and do a fresh install. In fact, probably a good idea.
Yep, so that way. Both are independent and the seed phrases are completely different for each.
Say that again.
I set up a brand new, with complete new seed phrases and everything for the new one, and the last one had nothing on it, so there's no problems.
Okay, yep, just delete the old one. It'll be good. Yep. Excellent. Okay, the Sidi minting has started. And let me just say, if you go into your Safir back office and you go down the menu to Sidi and you look at Sidi minting and you click on it and you get a white screen, don't panic. if you go up to the top in the browser and click the little refresh button, it will come up and show you what you're looking at here. So you can notice here on this one that when it's saying the minting power is 100%, it's not minting yet. When you look in the back office and you see 99.984, minting has just started because there is a sales and time halving, and it will kick in and rattle along and start putting tokens into your back office on a day-to-day basis. Now, they have copied a series of processes from Tupan to do this. Now, if you go into the back office and look at your Tupan minting, you'll see little pictures of trees and things like that, how you go through the process of seed and then fertilization and then irrigation, and then you get tokens. Well, in this one, there's still 3 roles. Role number 1 is the sand token. Role number 2 is the burning the sand token and creating bricks. And role number 3 is minting the Sidi tokens. Now, there's a really, really good, important reason as to why they're doing it in numbers of steps. It does seem a little bit silly when you first read it, but there's a good reason for it. The way the tokens, also all 3 of those hubs need to cooperate to start the minting process. 1, 2, and 3 all share in the tokens that are created by that process. They're split up a third each. But because there's 3 processes in here, you've now got 3 transactions on the blockchain. Remember, these tokens are based on Zeniq coins. Therefore, you can reckon, guess, and calculate that there's going to be more transactions than we thought early on, and they will transfer fees, etc., onto the blockchain, which will burn tokens. And yes, Malcolm, if you've got tokens in both, just leave the old one like it is for a minute, because I'm backwards and forwards with support trying to work out what the best thing to do is. And I think I've worked it out, but I'll leave that till next week just to be sure that I know what I'm talking about, because I don't know how many emails I've sent to support to clarify it, because people in other countries don't seem to speak Australian. A couple of times I've wanted to reach through the internet and slap somebody. But you know what? I think we've got to the bottom of it now. So this is what the designed images look like. Minting of the sand tokens, burning sand and creating bricks, burning bricks and creating Sidi tokens. Now, as I said, that's 3 separate transactions for every token. And that, in fact, in the long run, will be a great outcome for us, because there will be lots of things happening on the blockchain around this particular minting process. So now that it's started, the sales halving due to sales and time, etc., will come into effect. And the project is actually going ahead at a rate of knots in Austria. We had some photos come through a little while ago. Here, if you check out the Zeniq website where the blockchain transactions are showing, you can actually see the tokens that the nodes are creating as we go along. That was I took that screenshot this afternoon, and was live. When you look at it on the website, it's actually live, and you can see each line. You can see on the left under age, the numbers of seconds since it appeared, 10, 13, 17, 20, 23, 27, etc. So that's actually a live list of minting that you can see on these transactions. And that's very cool. So The minting transaction fees will support the burning of these Zeniq coins, we just touched on, and that massively supports the slow and steady growth of the price of Zeniq coins in the medium and long term. So the time halving process is basically pick February 10th, 23 to February 10th, 24. You will see a 50% reduction in coin minting. So we are at the start of this, and that's really important because as time goes on and the minting slows down, it's not as lucrative. The sales halving, every 1,000 hubs sold means less tokens minted per day. And that's a good thing because as there's more and more hubs sold, at some point they reach the physical limit of the number of tokens that are required. And that's when minting will stop. So then we'll all have, hopefully, a bucket full of tokens in our wallets and we can do something with them. We can do that beforehand. Tupan, can't say enough good things about this project. I just love it. I love the fact that I now own a bunch of cubic meters of Amazon rainforest. We're working with these guys to get some type of carbon sequestering here in Australia. So remember the platform. Zeniq is the engine room. Safir is the people system. Then you've got Tupan, Avelock, Tupan T-drones, Sidi, the movie, and our metal tokens are coming. I know it's taken longer than we all thought it would happen, taken a lot longer than I hoped it would take to happen, but we are moving on it and there are things happening. There is lots of conversations going on. And another competitor came in the market, which is comical, that they think people will follow along with that. So let's have a look at some blockchain stats. Now, transactions all time, still going up. This was live today. Have a look at that. That's a lot of transactions happening, isn't it? Transactions over 30 days. That's a steep incline because something's starting to work in the background. 24 hours, it's still going up. Every graph we've got tells us we're on a winner. You can get those stats from Zeniq.net. You can actually see those graphs live. Every graph we have in the system tells us we're going up. Who knew? Apparently we knew. Good that we had the opportunity to get involved when we did. Now, here's something that we were a party to breaking a story on a while back. And it has just bumbled along and everybody, I got a lot of grief from a number of people because they thought I was making up stories and it's not true. The Perth Mint is now being called Perth Mint's billion-dollar scandal. They've been now accused, I'm not saying found guilty of, they have been accused of being involved in a very large money laundering operation with some very, very shady characters, I suppose is the way you describe it. It just keeps on getting better and better, despite the fact that people were buying gold and silver and paying for storage and insurance only to find out that the gold and silver wasn't actually there. And yes, Malcolm, I tell you what, if someone doesn't go to jail over this, that's can only be a government cover-up because this is owned by the West Australian government. And I remember when they first interviewed the chairman about these accusations, he said, "Oh, no, it's all just a misunderstanding." Well, guess what? That misunderstanding is about to blow up and cover them all with very smelly, semi-solid stuff. And look, the bad thing is it's just another negative in the market that we get touched with as well, because I can remember when we first started, people saying, how do we know the gold is real? Is it really there? Well, I don't know what else to tell you other than I go over there and stroke it and fondle it every now and then, make sure it is in there. But Perth Mint, man, there's something going on there. And I hope somebody goes to jail, because this is just ridiculous. And all of these people involved in the management of this are on multi-million-dollar pay contracts. And this is the strength of their management. It is an absolute disgrace. Okay, remember, the reason we're here is we're tokenizing assets like gold and silver, like fine art, like real estate. All these things that have physical attributes. We're going to touch on this even further. Remember, just keep the Ukraine in your thoughts, folks. What's going on over there is outrageous, and I have no other words for it other than to hope that something happens that puts an end to it. But I can't see it happening anytime soon. I know that the Ukraine army is gearing up for another major offensive in the spring, and I know that Russia is conscripting another 350,000 people who know nothing about fighting a war. So the end result of that is a lot more dead people. Very sad. So let's have a little bit of a talk about what goes on in the world. I'm only going to use 2 videos tonight. This is Florian Heiser from here in Brisbane, and he's talking about the latest bank collapse in the US. It's a big bank. It's $1 billion collapse. And they got involved in lending money against cryptocurrency. Crypto equals no asset backing. We are not in the crypto business. We are in assets, digital assets, not no assets, digital assets. If that bank had have had the same process going with digital assets that were on the Zeniq blockchain, that would not have happened. It would be impossible. They might have lost some money, but they're in a position where they're talking to the SEC about winding up because they're $1 billion in the hole and have no way to recover it. Isn't that just charming? How many people are going to lose money over that? It's staggering. And this one, will Elon Musk buy a silver mine? Now, why do you think Kitco News is talking about that? Silver is an important asset when you're making electric vehicles. And as we know, there are lots and lots of people talking about a silver shortage this year. Now, I was going to actually have a couple of videos to talk about tonight about what's going to happen to the price of silver. I don't know, ladies and gentlemen, but these people, neither of these 2 websites here that we're looking at, Florian Heiser or Kitco News, have a political bent. They're talking about the market. So if Elon doesn't buy a silver mine, where is he going to get the silver from to put in these vehicles? He needs a lot of silver. The number of electric vehicles that he makes today and the number that he's talking about making in the future, he needs a lot of silver. A lot. I can't see any way around how he's going to get a supply other than to own a mine or 2. That is going to impact our business hugely, because silver and gold are, they're just the oldest form of value store in the world. And Malcolm saying crypto, including Bitcoin, is not a store of value and never will be. You're right. There's nothing behind it. It's only worth what someone will pay you today. And you better hope that it's more than what you paid for it. It's a staggeringly volatile market. Luckily, we've got good news on our platform because we're talking about assets. Yes, Martin, fiat is no different. It's only worth what someone will give you products for based on the number that's on the note. Correct. And CBDC, central bank digital currencies, I was looking today, the US, Canada, the European Union, England, Australia, and New Zealand have all already started development and have already announced that they will have a central bank digital currency. And if you think that's a good thing, you need to just sit out the back and stare at the stars for a bit because you have no idea what's going to come at you when that happens. You won't be able to save it because it destroys itself if you don't spend it. They will have control of where you spend money, what you spend money on, and whether your social credit score is good enough for you to receive the money. Your boss will be able to decide whether you can spend money at BWS or Dan Murphy's. They can turn it off. And I can tell you, that sort of oversight is not going to end well. So what now? Talk to people and explain why you're doing this, because it's completely free to get a wallet. Minting starts at 100 euros and up from there. Just stay focused on gold, silver, and our crypto, on our blockchain that is asset-backed. Everything we've ever known as normal has gone fishing, and it's not coming back. So just remember, everything that we've talked about in the last couple of years is coming true at a rate of knots. I would like to see the price of gold and silver going through the roof because we all hold some in our systems, and that's going to change our world when that happens. So that's us for tonight. Has anyone got any other questions that I haven't touched on? Have I got all your questions, Martin? 3 scams on Facebook in the last 24 hours, Avelock token being one of them. Yes, I've seen that. Someone emailed me a screenshot. Were you going to compile questions for a later session? Is that what that is? Yes, on Tupan. Yes, we will. As soon as I know when we have a connection with Odaly, we will send out an email and we'll get people to either jump on a Zoom call or we will do it by email where we can get everybody's questions in. Anything you want to know, anything you want to ask Odaly, we'll have all that available. And then when we've got him on the line, we can nail it to his forehead until he answers them all. If our wallet isn't connected to our back office, would that bring up error? No, it should not. The 2 apps should talk to each other, and I've sent off screenshots on that exact issue that you're talking about, Jenny, to the support team, and they're investigating the blockchain as we speak. They're assuring me that nothing can be lost because it's on the, and I know it hasn't because I've created the same error that you have, and all the assets are still in the wallet, so it's not going anywhere. Yes, okay, Martin, as soon as I get the steps, I will send them out on an email because the process will be put the tokens that you've purchased or the ones that you want to sell into the vending pool, which I think will be in the app. I don't know that for sure, but that's where I think they're putting it. And once we've got the instructions, we will send them out on an email and possibly do a little video because that might be the easiest way to describe it. Outstanding. Yeah, so people watch out for scams, particularly on Facebook. If you see a scam that says, send me all of your Avelock tokens and we'll send you back twice as many, it's a scam. Don't go there. But people get it, people fall for it, people get away with it. It's terrible, the things that somebody comes up with. Okay, don't see any other questions tonight. They've been good questions tonight. Glad we got that. Meant I must have talked about something good. Okay, so thanks everybody for coming tonight. We have had a great night and we look forward to seeing you on the golden beaches of the world. Have a great night.